Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Health and Wealth Podcast with your hosts, Tim and Carter.
What's trending, Enrichers? Carter Wilcoxon, founder of CSI Financial Group here, with my co-host and former wealth advisor, Tim James, founder of
ChemicalFreeBody.com and your new health advisor. This is the show where we reveal the connection between physical and financial abundance.
Hey, welcome back, Enrichers. Carter Wilcoxon here with my fantastic Truth, Freedom, Health, Chemical Free Body himself, Mr. Tim James. Tim James, how are you, my man?
I'm doing well, Carter. Doing well. Except for this technical difficulty stuff. So it's one thing, you go out there and you build your business and you do a good job for your clients. You do everything you can. But sometimes you have this tech thing you have to deal with. Computers crashing, systems not working. It can be frustrating, but you don't want to let that stress you out because that's going to lower your immune system and it's not going to make you a happy camper. And then when you get home to your family, you're going to be grumpy. We don't want to do that. We want to stay happy. So when that kind of stuff happens, like it's happening to me today, just take a big breath and understand that at least you have some problems that you can fix. You'll get through it. And, from an engineering standpoint, we welcome problems because then you have chances to make things better and make a better client experience. So all problems are just gifts. It just depends on how you look at them, right?
Well, I love that you just got through saying that because, in my almost 20 years in the financial services business, I don't know how many times I'll have an advisor or maybe it's admin come to me. Hey, Carter, I got bad news. I'm like, no. You just have news. It's not you determine if it's good or bad. It's just news, right? How you deal with it.
How you take it.
Yeah, I love that approach. So, Enrichers, we are super excited. Today is it's a watershed moment. It's a first of its kind. We have our very first podcast guest from north of the border, coming all the way in from Ontario, Kim Skermer of the Approach Coaching Method. Kim, how are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. If I was any better, I'd be Tim.
Wow. I like her.
and a comment on your tech stuff. There's a thought that I always keep, and it's things are not falling apart; they're falling into place.
Very nice.
There you go. We're gonna be all philosophical.
Oh, it's gonna happen today. We're gonna drop them all day long.
Oh, I love it. So, well, hey, let's go ahead and the Enrichers, what they really love to hear when we get started with our new podcast is the guest backstory. So, Kim, do us a favor. You've been in the financial services now for a few decades yourself. Let's go back though, and I don't know how far that is. If you had an influencer, if something happened in your life that brought you into the financial services industry, but go ahead and share with our audience today. What was it that brought you into this field?
Wow. So going back 23 years, that's my time in the financial services industry. And I find it really interesting. No one that's in the industry majority of us never really sought out to be in the industry. I find it so interesting. So I fell into it. So I used to be a chef and I used to be a tour guide. That was my world. And a long time ago, I was sitting at my desk, New Year's Eve, young and happy. And all my friends are out partying and I'm trying to book 82 people to a tour trip, a golf trip to Bali. And 23 years ago, trying to book a whole bunch of people to Bali, figuring it out. My friends are out having a good time. And I just had it. I just hit the button. So, those pink message pads back in the day of you have a new message. So I grabbed one of those pink message pads. I tape it to my boss's computer and I just said, I quit, kind of a bit of a note. I grabbed my keys, packed my stuff up. I locked the door. I put my keys through the mailbox and I sat there and I said, oh shit, what am I going to do now? And so the next couple of days, my girlfriends give me a call and says, when you grow up, while you're trying to figure out what you're going to do, why don't you just come answer phones? And answering the phones was at an investment firm. So I started in the industry as the happy greeter coffee girl. And for $20 an hour, I answered the phones. And back then that was some pretty good money. Wow. And within a couple of weeks, I was starting to run the back trade desk and kind of helping out that way. And I just climbed from there. So Yeah, I came into the financial, it was absolutely, completely luck how I entered in. And it was just, again, I wasn't falling apart. They were falling into place, because here I am 23 years later.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about, so the investment firm, and obviously this is all happening in Canada. Is that correct?
It is. Yes.
So your whole financial services world, and because you're a dually, as we were talking about pre-show.
Yeah.
So, Canadian and American, right?
Yeah. Canadian born, American mom. My parents were kind of the all-American dream. That's how they.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, this investment company that you're working at, it's, they're dealing in securities and everything. And I'm assuming when we say $20, I'm assuming $20 Canadian.
Yeah, not US. That'd be like $47. Come on.
Yeah, right. So I was just curious. But so you end up in this investment industry, and we know that insurance and investments typically almost collide, right? Or philosophically, they're a little bit different whenever it comes to, risk versus or what type of risk you're really looking at, and reward. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, how did you end up going from the investment company to get into the insurance world then?
Yeah. And it came down to pace. It really comes down to pace, right? The money side's fast. It's quick. It definitely is quick. The insurance side is different. So, as I'm working at this company, and there's advisors within there, and I'm supporting them, and actually this advisor to this day still holds my investments to this day. I haven't moved him from him. Wow. I love the guy. He's a great guy. And I started sitting in some of his meetings, and he was a full financial planner. So, going through the whole process, and it came to the insurance review. And I'm listening to this conversation, and I'm listening to how he's putting people through this path and this regiment. And I'm going, this is awesome. Like, this is incredible. And I loved it so much. And it actually took me back to a pain point back when I was a travel agent. So back when I was a travel agent, and if you kind of look at my Instagram, I tell a story on how I felt I was failed by a financial advisor. So our group benefits advisor came in and introduced us to this wonderful, amazing new product called critical illness. And he sold me. Completely tried to sell me. So here I am, 20 something years old, right? And there's this older, male, pale and stale. Sorry, guys, but you know what I mean? This, we call them PMSs if you ever want to know. But anyways, that's what PMS actually stands for, is pale, male and stale. But anyways, secrets out. But, so this guy's selling this 20-year-old girl, this policy. And I'll never forget the amount. It was $21.03 a month for me to have $75,000 worth of critical illness insurance. And I really told him to buzz off, thanks, but no thanks, very, really politely. There was a bad conversation going on in my head, all these words. And I'm not lying at all. 3 months later, I get diagnosed with a critical illness. And it was so funny when he told me that number of $21.03. All I could think about is, that's my weekend party money. It's a case of beer. Like, come on. Like, I didn't see the need, right? He didn't speak to me. And I never forget. So when I kind of fast forward, going through that whole process of when I got diagnosed with the critical illness and all the stuff I went through, lost my friends, lost my independence, felt so much shame, all these things. And I know part of it's my responsibility for sure, but I felt failed by the advisor. So, fast forward when I'm sitting with this advisor in his, in his meeting with his clients when they're, it's RSP season, and he was brilliant. And he also, reviewed the insurance. And I'm listening to him, how he was speaking to his clients and having that conversation. I'm going, this is it. This is gold. This truly is gold. He's asking really good questions, and he's just listening. And everything that he came back to is just connecting back to them, connecting back to their world, connecting back to their message, connecting back to all those things. And that's when, at that moment, I fell in love with insurance.
Wow. So now is that advisor that you are talking about, this gold that you referenced, is that the advisor that you still have your money with, or is that a completely different advisor?
Yep. Still have my money with.
Okay.
Same guy.
Okay. So what is it that got you into the carrier world is what I'm really curious about. and then of course, what it is that we're doing, at Epic and, with CSI and everything, with our legacy stories and our estate planning platform and all of that stuff. And how does that kind of sort of tie into your belief and your philosophy on around your love for insurance, if you will.
Yeah. Saw an ad in the paper, good old ad in the paper. So, I was at this firm, Berkshire, for a couple of years now, and it's getting kind of bored and kind of grown out of my role, right? I've always prospered very quickly and very fast. And when that does happen, when we are high achievers, we get bored very quickly, right? So we have to find something to do. So I saw an ad to be a marketing specialist for Manulife Financial. So saw this ad, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it. I like this world. There's so much potential and there's so much diversity in the financial services industry. We'll give it a try. So went and applied and got hired. So that was really interesting. So I became, I don't know, I felt like, how do you say, when you get your first really big job? Like that was my first big job.
I've arrived.
I'm here, right? And I spent my whole whopping $75 at Susie Shear and made that outfit look amazing. And it's just that whole thing when you just feel special and important. Downtown Edmonton, in one of the towers, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I entered into the industry as a marketing specialist at Manulife Financial, which is John Hancock in the US, of course. And my role was to be a marketing specialist within the life insurance independent advisory channel. So, different terms, different quotes, but it was the captive channel, right? The direct channel. So the advisor didn't have an IMO or a managing agency that was in between. It was direct. So that's where I kind of came in, and that's where I started on the carrier side. And that was an amazing experience in itself. It really, really was. It really was.
So you start there as a marketing specialist.
Yep.
And you work your way up through the company. Is that right?
I did. Yeah. I was with Manulife 8-9 years and, got promoted 5-6 times. I got promoted a lot. And I used to giggle. And that seems to be, my thing is I go with the company and I climb. I climb. And I'm either really good at what I do or they have no goddamn clue where to put me, one of the two, right? It's either or, but, I climbed. And, spending my time there, I went through marketing specialist, went to a marketing consultant. I worked with the direct advisors. I worked on the affinity market side, which is health and dental and benefits, the investment side, the insurance side. I had such amazing breadth of exposure and experience when I was at Manulife and worked with incredible people.
Yeah, and you did quite a bit of traveling, right? I mean, you would travel to the United States and you would do things and rubbing elbows with a whole bunch of different advisors. So, from your perspective, like, are the advisors, about the same in Canada and the United States? I mean, what is kind of sort of the different makeup, when maybe you're going to Vegas for some Manulife thing, and I'm making this up. I don't know if you but that's where, back in the day where people like to have conventions, insurance carriers. So what is the makeup between an advisor in Canada compared to an advisor in the States?
Oh, wow. You got me in the hot seat, man. You have me in the hot seat on that one because we're all the same and you're all wonderful and equal in my eyes, right? There is a difference. And my travel really started happening when I left Manulife. So there was actually a really critical moment that happened between me leaving Manulife and going to Transamerica. And so kind of telling a bit of that backstory is probably important. What happened in my world and why I was so successful at Manulife was I've always had a coaching approach. And we all know how important that is. And, there's wholesalers that come in and do things and, just the way they go. But I was always successful because I coached. I absolutely coached. So, during my career at Manulife, at the end, I was the manager for affinity markets, and my mom got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and that was a big awakening. My mom is my best friend. I don't even want to say was. She's still here, and I still talk to her and all that kind of stuff. And she's here, and she's formed who I was today. But my mom was a high achiever, and it was kind of funny when Tim started talking about what stress does to the body and all those things. She was such a high achiever, she was billing herself out at $1,250 an hour as a consultant, so she was, doing really, really well. And so anyway, she got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and I got the call. I just got back from a conference and got the call, and it was, get to the hospital, bring your sister or brother, don't come here alone. Your mom's not well. And I go in and she, they tell us the news, and coming from our industry, we know exactly how long someone has when that diagnosis happens. That was 9 years ago. And so I called my boss and I just said, I know I've got stuff to do and reports to do. And you and I need to talk about a couple of things, but my mom just got diagnosed terminal. And it wasn't that he was cold, but he was kind of cold. And that kind of shook me a little bit, right? So anyways, I went on stress leave. I stayed on my mom's side and didn't leave her side the whole entire time until the day she passed. And it was actually the day she passed was the day I decided to go home and take a shower and have a quick nap in my bed. And that was the day she said goodbye. And so when that happened, and when you lose that pillar in your life, right? And left my fiance at the same time too. I had all this kind of things. I'm paddling with teams that are trying to be part of Team Canada too in my sports and athletics life. And I'm coaching all these teams and doing all this stuff. Anyways, when my mom passed and a couple of weeks afterwards, I just said, I need to change and I need to run away. And maybe it's not healthy, maybe it is, but I think there's a moment where we all need to pack our shit up and run away. And, people started finding out in the industry that I was a free agent now. And I got this call and I ended up going to go work for Transamerica Life. And it was all the way to Toronto. And so everyone out west, so in Canada, the west and the east don't like each other. And there's always this fight. They call Toronto center of the universe. And there's a reason why it's called it. There's some pretty cool stuff here, actually. But I made the move and I went there and I took the job at Transamerica because it was all about the things I believed in. And it was starting that whole path in doing a coaching, advisor, and development program called Convergys. And I was going to be one of the pioneers. I got to help build this program and I'm going, that's it. You know what? My mom's not here anymore. I'm not getting married anymore. I'm exhausted. I don't know if I can, I don't know if I want to train this way anymore, what I want to do. So, packed my shit up and went to Toronto. So with that whole part and coming into that management system and that we started becoming really entrenched into companies like Trustworthy Selling, Hoopus Performance Network. I would go to the Gamma and the Lamb conference all the time. So that's really when I started getting exposed to Canadian advisors versus US advisors. And there is Canada, I love you so much. I really do. And there's different approaches than different people, but you can tell who was an American advisor and who was Canadian. And there's just a way they carry themselves. There's more of a chosen path of becoming a financial advisor, legacy, succession planning within the family coming up through. You can tell it just seems to be more point of mind. The suits are sharp, the ties are on, and Canadian has this more of a relaxed kind of welcoming hug approach. But it's very interesting. And my company's only 5 months old. And I'm doing very well. And the majority of my clients, even though I'm very well known in Canada, the majority of my clients are American. So that says a lot to me. That's interesting to me.
Well, that's interesting to me because, is it because they understand they need to invest in coaching, or is it that Canadians are like, I don't need that because I already know everything. I'm trying to get a feel for, what it is. Because I know that the enlightened advisors that we work with, they understand they need to invest in their practice and always try to get better. So is that why you're saying you get more of those American advisors because they recognize that they need to do that type of stuff?
It's let's look at sheer numbers, number one, too, right? The population of Canada versus US. Sure. Sheer numbers, it's incredible, the difference there too. But there's an interesting culture and it's, when I was, ending up at the end, I was the general manager of Convergys, of Avari for Eastern Canada or for Ontario. And it was really interesting. Like, we helped them. Our value proposition or our value add was, we're taking you right through coaching. We're giving you this, we're giving you that. We're going to hug you and build the fence around you as much as we can. Now, sometimes when something is given for free, it's not respected or appreciated as much, right? You're right. When you start looking at the U.S. culture and kind of how it looks, and there's a lot of general agencies and firms. There's kind of not a captive culture, but there's that culture there, and it really is ingrained right from the beginning of a business mindset. There's more of a business mindset. There's more of a practice mindset that I see and that I've exposed to Canada. So that's kind of the difference. So with that business mindset, I'm starting to see a lot more welcoming of coaching and investing back into your practice, right?
Yeah.
And it's right from when you're kids too, sports, athletics, all that kind of stuff. It's so associated to it.
Yeah. And I know we're coming up on a break because I can see my co-host Tim James just about
Given the
ready,
sign.
just about ready to break in here about that. I love it. Oh, you're too
Crickets.
good. But I know I definitely want to go back to some of the athletics and things that you were doing, because you mentioned something about paddling or something. So I want to dig a little bit deeper about that and everything. So Tim James, is it true? Do you have any questions that you have for Kim, or are you going to take us to?
Well, let's just get to the next round and then we'll do it, because since we're at break time.
Okay.
Let's do that. But I very much enjoyed. You're a go-getter.
I am.
Out there and getting stuff done, and I think that there's a lot advisors can have to learn. I'll just talk about my coaching. Like, I'm a health coach, and even when I was a financial advisor, we had coaches. When I was a mortgage professional, I hired a coach, and I remember what happened. So for the advisors out there, or anybody that's in commission sales or whatever, or anything, it doesn't really matter, right? The best athletes have coaches.
Period.
Like, if you're a baseball player, Tony Gwynn had a hitting coach.
They have many different types of coaches.
The best golfers have
Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods has had many.
Tiger.
Coaches, right? Because even though this A-type personalities, as you put it earlier, Kim, we're really good on a lot of things, but we're still human beings, and we tend to drift at times, and the coaches can help us get back on path. So when you hire a coach, it's kind of great because they help you achieve what you want. I mean, that's basically what it is. You have a third baseman, you have this support system in place helping you to get where you want to go. And probably the most important thing is the accountability. Accountability. Look at the military. People go into the military and all of a sudden their hair's cut, they're in shape, and then when they get out, some of them stay that way, but some are like, geez, and they just kind of let themselves go. And a lot of it, let's give our military a lot of I would say a lot of we'll give them a pass because of all the anthrax shots and the burning trash and all the stuff they had to go through. And the military training itself is what's causing a lot of the issues today. So maybe not the best example, but the point is that when there's accountability, human beings can perform at levels they can't even imagine, right? Just knowing that my coach I'm going to talk to him or her in a week or two, I get stuff done. And then guess who benefits from it? Me. I benefit from it. So I remember this when I was a mortgage professional, I was really good. Okay. I never missed a closing. And if a closing had ever missed, it was everybody knew what was going on. It was like an oil tank inspection failed, and there was some delays because they had to clean that up and put a new oil tank in or whatever, right? So this was pre me being a financial advisor. Did that for about 9-10 years as a mortgage professional. So I prided myself. I'm like, I don't miss closings, and that's why people would come to me. Like, Tim will get it done and he'll get me paid. That was the whole point. So all of a sudden, I had great relationships with my real estate agents. So guys, pay attention to this. If you're a financial advisor, real estate agent, mortgage professional, anyway, because it doesn't matter how good your relationships are. Somebody else is always knocking on the other door, and they're trying 10 ways to Sunday to get in and get that business. Right. So this other lady who wasn't, in my opinion, near as good as me as a mortgage professional, I wouldn't have found out about this. One of my top real estate agents, and he had 2 or 3 underneath him that were working really good. And I had all their business. They gave me everything. One of the account reps for one of the banks where I was placing loans came up to me, and she was going through her list of stuff. And I said, do I have any other loans with you? And she's like, oh, the Knights. And I'm like, the Knights? I'm like, what do you mean? I don't have them on my sheet. They're not in the system. They were doing the loan with somebody else. And I called up John immediately. I'm like, dude, what's going on? Why are they? Why the Knights were drillers working on his team? Why? Oh, he's like, oh yeah, Tim. He's like, because I found out just by osmosis, just hustling, doing my thing randomly. And I said, what's going on? He's like, well, there's this gal, and she's part of this coaching group, this high elite coaching group. She joined this coaching company. And they have all this great stuff, and she comes in every week, and she's helping us with our P&Ls, and she's helping us with our lead trackers and our personal budget and doing all this stuff. And we felt bad because she's been helping us for 3 months, and she's gotten zero business because we do business with you. So we the nights we're building like a little flipper or something like that, and we just flipped her the loan for this house that they were flipping so she could get paid and get a little bit of money. And he's like, dude, you should check in this coaching company. I think you would dig it. And I'm like, give me the name. So I wanted to know what the hell this coaching company had done to pierce my relationship.
Yep.
Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, the owner of the company is like a really good friend of mine. Like, we partied together. Like, it was like we'd done some crazy shit together, you know? So and then these guys were buddies of mine. I was out on the subdivisions on the weekends with them, you know? And so I called up and I went right to the owner of the company. It was Rick Ruby. I'll give these guys a shout out at the Core Training. They train high-end real estate agents and mortgage professionals. And I got put on the phone with Rick, and he said, well, typically we just don't hire anybody. You have to make $125,000 a year as a mortgage professional, or as a real estate agent, you'd be closing at least 4 deals a month. Otherwise, we don't want to work with you. We take good people and make them great. We don't like helping you get to good. That's not our sweet spot. And at the time, you know, this was like 2006. It was $2,000 a month to coach with these guys. So it wasn't cheap. Now they're like 3,000 or something. And they have other programs all the way down, so at different levels, which is awesome. So anyway, I call Rick up and I'm talking to him, and he's like, look, what you should do is just come to one of our retreats. And this is like June. And he's like, come in November, check it out. And if you like it, you know, I looked at your form. You're definitely qualified income wise, and I like it that you're a past athlete, because I do really well with athletes because they just do what they're told. I was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to wait for this retreat. Just sign me up. Let's go. And he's like, you know, he's a hard nosed business guy. He was a mortgage professional himself. He's running this big organization. He's like, well, yeah, I guess, you know, we could bring you in, you know. He goes, but what the hell do I know? You know, just, you know, basically just made me feel stupid because he knows what he was talking about. He goes, hey, we'll sign you up and you can start paying. But he goes, you know, I don't listen to me. I've only been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah, I'll take your money, fool. I'll take your money.
So I was like, okay. And I thought about it, and I'm like, okay, screw it. I just signed up like he said. I went to the freaking deal. I went through the process, and then I ended up signing up for the Core Training. And I got that training. And from that training, I ended up coaching my real estate agents the nights as well. They all of a sudden, now I'm coaching them doing that thing. And I was charging like $299 a month. Well, I didn't do it at first. I coached my real estate agents for free on those 4 forms, right? And it worked out really great, but they wouldn't show up for coaching. So I called my coach that I paid for, and I said, dude, they're not showing up. He's like, well, what are you charging them? And I said, I'm not charging them anything. He goes, well, there's your problem. He's like, people don't pay for nothing. They won't show up. They don't appreciate it. He goes, just charge them a nominal fee. Just charge them like $299 a month. And he goes, they'll show up. Yep. So I did. I started charging $299 a month. And all of a sudden, the people were kind of on the fence. We're like, what? And they just signed up. I had 15 real estate agents that I would coach in my office in groups of 3. And guess what? I got to go over their lead trackers. I got all the business. So, and that coaching company helped me hire my first assistant back in the day when I was scared to do it. And now I can't even imagine not having an assistant. Like, you've got to get to a point where you can have an assistant to leverage your time. I need 2 of them right now. I'm going to hire another one. So the whole point is that coaching company helped me. Their whole motto was double your income, double your time off. It's about the business being a tool to support your personal life, not your personal life supporting the business. We go to work so that we can really enjoy our personal life. That's what it's all about. So it worked. I did. I doubled my income. I doubled my time off. I started taking off Friday, half a day on Friday, then a full day. And then I was on half a day on Thursday, and I was working on getting off a Thursday. And then I switched into financial advising. I was almost down to 3 days a week. And, you know, we were doing, you know, $500,000 in for me, personal income, which was at the time I thought was pretty darn good. And that was because I had a coach. So I always recommend coaching and everything. If you should have a health coach, you should have a life coach, you should have a business coach, professional coach, get a coach. If you're going to go snowboarding for the first time, don't go with your buddies. They'll put you on a black diamond run and you'll put your face all the way down.
Hold my beer.
Do it again. Right? Get an instructor, go to the bunny slopes and have them slowly walk you back and forth, build the foundation. Another example is like I'll self-teach myself guitar, and I've been doing that for a year and a half or so, 2 years. I hired an instructor, and now my learning curve is just like
That's cool.
off the charts. Like I'm like 10 times the guitar player in the last 9 months that I was.
Yeah.
And my curve is accelerating. The stuff I can play now, I can't even believe I'm doing it. So I guess I'm a little pro coach.
You better be.
You see the benefits. You've seen the benefits.
So with that, we're going to take a break, and we get back. We'll chat with more with Kim on everything awesome that she's got going on in her personal and business life. We'll be right back.
Estate planning. What does that even mean? When the inevitable happens for everyone on this planet, your estate plan kicks into action. But first, let's start with what an estate is. An estate is simply everything you own. Now, here's the issue and what needs to be understood when this event occurs. You only have 2 choices on this plan. Number 1, either you plan how your estate gets handed out and distributed to those you leave behind. Or number 2, your state decides who gets everything you own. For the first time ever, you can now take complete and total control of this plan that you've been deprived of for most of your life and generations before you. You can get personalized assistance along the way with a team of specialists whose job it is to make sure you have true peace of mind. It's important to understand that estate planning is a journey, and rest assured that our team will be available to you all along the way and at every step. Welcome to eState Plan, home of the last estate plan you'll ever need. To learn more, make sure to reach out to your local advisor licensed with us or go to our website for more information.
Welcome back, Enrichers. Tim James here with my co-host Carter Wilcoxon. And today in the house we have Kim Skermer. Did I just say that right?
You got it.
Kim, that's awesome. Thanks for being here. You're full of energy. Your story's pretty cool. I can't wait to talk more about some of the stuff with your mom later. I don't know what you're going to ask me when it comes to health, but right now let's just focus on like what you're doing with your coaching practice, who you're helping. Well, let me ask you this question.
Okay.
Why do you think a financial professional should hire a coach?
Simple. They're a business owner. It really is interesting. The latter part of my corporate career, I did a lot of recruiting. That was a big part of my paycheck and a big part of my bonus. And I was very successful at it. And my stats were incredible. So the industry stat, if you gentlemen, I'm not sure if you know it or not, but only 3%.
That's not good.
That make it past stat from our friends at LIMRA.
Now say that again. You kind of cut out.
Sorry, cut out. So I was
3%.
3%. So LIMRA stats are 3% make it past 2 years. My stats were 80% made it past 2 years.
So your coaching clients made it, 80% of them made it past 2 years?
What, you mean coaching did something? And it was exactly what happened. It was all about coaching. So we brought them into the industry and we had them treat it like a business. And it was conversations right from the beginning of you have to have at least 6 months of capital put aside, right? So that you can make the right decisions, that you can get the right education, that you can set up your processes and procedures and treat this like a true business. And it was that whole conversation about even look at coming into the financial services industries that you just bought into a franchise. So the foundation's there, the work is there, right? But you still got to hire the people. You still got to get the clients to come in or the customers to come in, right? You still have to make investments. But it's probably the least expensive or most economical franchise you can ever get into. But it truly was about treating your practice as a business. Because there's all these pieces. So many advisors focus on product, being the knower of all these products and how it works and the ins and outs and the intricacies and understanding tax and doing all this. And I always want to say, my friend, if you're the knower of all, you're the doer of nothing. 100%. Right. So that's why you have wholesalers. That's why you have the tax and estate planning specialists. That's why you have companies like Epic that give you legacy planning tools and all this stuff. There's all these tools and all these great resources that you need to leverage as a business owner. And any and every successful business owner has people and points and that they leverage. They cannot do it all themselves. So, big on it.
That's a good point. A financial advisor. Hey, if you're listening and you're a financial advisor, which most of you probably are, Maybe, I assume so.
Yeah.
Imagine like running your financial advising business, and you also have to run a gold and silver mine, and you have to create 4 or 5 different real estate investment trusts, and and you need 7 mutual funds. You got to create those and run them yourself. I mean, that's kind of the point you're getting at. It's just like simplifying, and leverage is everything. So everything that I do now, if I think about a project, I think about how much of my time is that going to take? Because I only have so much of it.
100%.
How can I delegate that? How can I find somebody else to do it 80% as good as I could do it?
Yeah.
That's helped me out a lot with that.
Well, it's interesting that you guys are talking about this, because I just printed off this article, and I think I was talking about this maybe in another podcast on Monday even. I'm not sure, but the power of outsourcing investment management, right? And this is from Asset Mark, right? So there are companies out there that are leverage essentially, right? So they're taking like, I mean, CSI Financial Group, Epic Services, perfect example of like, you can't do all this stuff alone. And Kim, you said something earlier, just a while ago, that I come at this from this philosophy on what you just said. And I say this in my recruiting videos. Product is not the unmet need in this industry.
It's not.
And I don't care if you're the greatest money manager or life insurance salesman, annuity salesman. It doesn't matter. Everybody has the same product. Your clients already know that, right? So I, in my 20 years now, and going back to 7 years ago, whenever I started CSI Financial Group, then obviously we just launched Epic about 2 months ago. But it's like, I asked myself this question: what makes me different? Right now, listen, Richards, if you're a financial advisor and you haven't asked yourself that question yet, then here's a couple things. Look up Kim as a coach, because she can help you out.
Yeah.
Definitely come to CSI Financial Group or Epic Services Company to be able to help you on that differentiation. And here's the thing for me, Kim, a little bit of backstory myself, is that what made me unique in the wholesale IMO world is that I actually got bored, right? You're successful, you're at the top. I got bored not only making my boss a millionaire, but also I just got bored with what I was doing, because it was monotonous. It was the same thing day in and day out. It's a product this and product that, and being a case designer, whatever, still product. So what I did was I decided to go out into the financial advisory world. Now, here was the huge benefit for me. Now, I didn't have the wherewithal and understanding I needed a coach, right? But because I felt like I knew quite a bit in the industry. But what I did was because I spent 3 years prior to launching CSI Financial Group as an advisor, working with an estate planning attorney and understanding the connectivity between estate and financial planning, that gave me a unique perspective that most principals of an IMO do not have. They haven't sat across the table from Mr. and Mrs. Jones and gone through the illustrations and the whys and the hows and in the the mechanics of these products that we have, right? Yeah. So when I launched CSI Financial Group, not only did I ask myself from a wholesale perspective, what makes me different? Because I spent time in the field, I took it one step further and said, okay, how am I going to differentiate the advisor in the field, right? Now, coaching goes a long way in helping what it is that we've done, because I have said on many occasions, you have to have a process. I am process-oriented, process-driven. But by golly, if you're going to tell your clients you have a process, you better by God have one.
You better do it.
Yeah. So what we did, knowing how advisors are in America, I asked that question earlier, knowing that they tend to just want to be salespeople, they're not going to take the time to do the coaching. They're not going to take the time to understand the process. So I just recognized and realized, well, shit, I'll just build it, right? I'll build it. They'll come. It'll be turnkey. And they come in, and our enlightened advisors are killing it. I have an advisor in Fayetteville, Arkansas, that whenever I first met her,
You are so damn excited. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt, but oh my God, you're so excited about this. And it gives me energy. I'm going to come to the US and be one of your advisors. This is awesome. Sorry. It was just, I couldn't shut up.
No, you know what? And I'm glad you interrupted me because I could probably go on and on. And I was getting ready to stop, I swear. I was
That's
getting ready to
because he
stop.
drinks beer laced with cocaine.
It was just like, wow, that is a whole lot of something. And that's awesome.
That's who I am, right? Like,
Actually, when I met him, his speech was very slurred. He was 100 pounds heavier. He talked really slow, and then I helped him get his gut cleaned up, and he drinks my greens. That's why he's it's.
And this is it. This is
What
it.
do
He
they
did
say
it.
with
He
blood?
drank them every day, and now look at him. He's
I love
the epitome of health. He looks amazing. He does have a lot of energy, and that's one of the reasons I decided to work with him.
Yeah.
Like, I like this guy. He's got maybe even more energy than I do. This is cool.
Well,
Yeah, I think you should keep them.
You know what's funny about that, Kim, is that, and we're going to get back into the approach coaching method here in a second, Enrichers. But when I first met Tim, he actually warned me. He goes, actually, I'm afraid if you start taking my stuff, how much more energy you could have.
Well, I think a lot of it's because you're excited about. You get to wake up and you get to go do what you love, and you're
What would I do?
you're excited because you know you can solve people's problems big time, and you can change an advisor's life. That's what it boils down to.
Well,
And
exactly.
by them doing that, you're actually changing all the people they serve's life, which is
That's
really
huge.
Yeah.
Massive waterfall effect. It's exactly why I do what I do. I look at the advisors that I coach, and then I look at the multiplication of all the people we can help. And that is some pretty awesome stuff. Like, that's powerful.
Mhm.
So
Because
talk
you're
about
just gonna wake up.
so Kim, talk a little bit about that, in the approach, coaching method, having passion for what it is that you do, right? The old saying, people do business with those that they know, they like, and they trust, right? Well, I mean, if you don't have any passion for what it is that you're doing, people are going to be a little leery about what it is, right? So how does that play into a little bit of the coaching method?
Well, I think it's
Or is that just born? Is that just built in you?
it is something that I definitely was born with. This is my DNA. This is who I am, and I could speak to it in so many different ways. But the approach coaching method came from a place of disruption, right? Most things come from a place of disruption. Like, Tim, I read your backstory on your health story and your path, right? Like, stuff happened, right?
Mhm.
We all, as Carter, you just said too, right? You're sitting there going, there's got to be a better way. I see this. I'm sitting there with my brown paper. I've got the crayons and I'm drawing pictures. I'm like, this makes sense. There's a better way, right? So there's different coaches out there, as we were saying before, and there's all these things. You can buy a course for $2.99. You can get all these different things, and I remember when I started doing the business plan of RST private planning group, right? And talking about my life insurance advocacy part, and the first intent was to have a coaching program, and I would feed my insurance side with my business clients, right, into the insurance side, and kind of work it that way. And I was looking around. I don't want to rebuild everything. I just finished building a whole coaching program and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going, do I want to do this again? No. How can I align myself? So I went to go align myself with someone, and it was a big name in the industry, a massive name in the industry. And they wanted me as one of their elite executive coaches because they knew my background, they knew my story, they knew my reputation, and I'm results driven. And it's also, I was attracting that part of the clientele that almost every single financial services carrier and distributor wants, and that's females, right?
Yep.
We know the stats, right? Only 15% of the industry is full of women. That's it. That's the divide. When we look corporately, it's even different, right? So they thought, bring this big mouth Canadian on board, and she's going to help bring the women in and help and embrace it, all that kind of stuff. And as I'm going through the process and I'm seeing what they're doing, they had all these videos and they had all these fill in the blanks, and then they would meet once a month and talk for half an hour. And everybody that was part of the cohort would get talked to. And people are paying big bucks for this. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm definitely not saying wrong. Like, that room is full and people are going there. But that's not my thing, right? Like, I watched and I'm going, they're facilitating and half the cameras are off, or, the guy's looking and, playing on his phone while everyone's talking. And I'm going, this isn't me. And it rubbed me the long way. And I guess let's keep giving it, keep learning, keep giving it a try. And then it just came a moment where it just hit me. I don't like the approach. I honestly don't like this approach at all whatsoever. It's not for me. And then I started hearing all this bad talk about coaches, that coaches are a waste of money, that coaches suck, that this does. No, they don't. Your process of finding and discovering the right coach for you, that's what sucks, right? There really is a coach for every person or every reason or every stage in your corporate life, in your career life, in your business life. There's a different coach. So what makes me special and unique is that I truly, truly approach it from their side. I'm a big believer that coach asks really good questions, a mentor answers really good questions, and a trainer sets up the foundation. And sometimes people confuse that. So my approach is all about peeling back the layers, asking really good questions, and helping people define their success. Because sometimes people just want to be a salesperson. Let them be it. Like, that's who you are. You mentioned Tiger Woods. One of my favorite stories I tell is about Tiger Woods, one of my favorite coaching stories, right? When did Tiger Woods start to fail and everything start to fall to shit? Right?
Lost his coach.
He was coached to do and act and be a certain way that wasn't true to him.
Mm.
And
That's
Tim,
important.
like, that's massively important, especially with athletics or anything at all. If you are taught or shown to show up that is not true and authentic to yourself, shit's going to go wrong. Like, it honestly is going to. And I remember when I came to Toronto, and this is kind of, and it's on my website and it's so big with me. When I came to Toronto and I was finding the Eastern Team Canada crew to come be part of and try out for, and I found the coach, and this guy's epic. Like, this guy, he's so gorgeous, like dances on the water, like just, and I'm watching this, I'm going, I want to be him. So, go and try and find the crew to be part of. And I start talking to him, and he looks at me and he says, well, what can I do for you, Kim? And I said, I want to look like you. I want to paddle like you. I want to have the same stroke like you. I want to have the same catch like you. I want to be you. And he said, really? And I said, yeah, I do. Like, teach me, man. Teach me. I'll do anything, kind of thing. And he just said, now, if I did make you a mirror image of me, would I have helped you or would I have failed you? I sat there and went, holy shit. Holy shit. This is not the majority of the financial services industry, but this is what happens, is that we try to emulate and we try to become a mirror image of whoever the big greats may be or who be that we see up on the stage at MDRT, that, we see all these places. We try to emulate and be them. You're not them. You will never be them. But what you do need to look at is their process that they apply to get to be that person. Yeah. That's kind of the missing piece. And that's where the approach came from.
I really like what you said about that, because I was thinking back to Dr. Bruce Lipton. He's a cell biologist researcher for 50 years. And he was saying that he went into this doctor or something that was doing muscle testing on him for different things. And that thing where you hold your arm out and then people push it down and do that kind of stuff. Yeah. And they were doing this and they said, now say your name is like Phyllis, even though his name's Bruce, right? Mm-hmm. And then he was like, okay, I'm Phyllis. And then he tried to resist and his arm just went right down. Yeah. He's like, wait a minute. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Okay, let's try that again. He goes, now say your name is Phyllis while I'm, pushing your arm down. Like, his arm just fell down. And that goes to what you were saying. The subconscious mind is processing it 1,000,000 times faster than the conscious mind. And when you take something in like that, it's almost like it disrupts your flow and your power, like literally in a physical manifestation. So
100%.
You were saying about Tiger Woods, if they were saying you do this and you do that and you do this, he lost his success. He lost his edge because he wasn't being authentic. Mm-hmm. It's really important. So I think, when I've seen people really successful, if I'm like wanting to do something, I look at, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 people in the industry, and I just download everything I can from them. I keep what I want, and then I kind of put my own spin on it, and then I just be myself.
100%.
Right. And that's the way to do it. There's nothing wrong with emulating or modeling people, but you have to be authentic. Otherwise it's just not. That's why I had to leave. I loved being a financial advisor up until I didn't. Mm-hmm. When I got into the health industry, and all of a sudden I have to do this. Yeah. Money didn't matter. It didn't matter. I had to follow that authentic self in that path. So I think that's a really good point you brought up.
No,
well, and the king right? Arnold Palmer,
Yeah.
you know, he famously said, swing your swing, right? And you know, you have a whole bunch of these professional golfers or aspiring professional golfers, and I've been around that, you know, world for a long time, being a former caddy and you know, a pretty decent golfer myself. I'm going to be going golfing today later on.
Yeah. Better hurry up.
But
It's going to get dark.
I know. Well, I'm not going to get in but a few holes, but it's all good. But you know, the thing that I've seen like these cookie cutter, like everybody's so technical and trying to be technically the exact same way of an Adam Scott or a Tiger Woods that are technically. And you know, here's the thing. It's kind of like, you know, the 6 inches between your ears. That's where it all makes a difference. In golf, it's that 6 inches before you hit the ball and after you hit the ball. That's all that matters. That's all the golf swing is, right? So how mechanically sound it looks or whatever, if you try to, but if you can't be yourself in your swing, then forget it, right? You have to be yourself. You can emulate people. Sure. You can, you know, be influenced on how somebody does something. And Tim, you know, much like you, I've prided myself in trying to find something very special and unique about somebody, like take one thing from them, but then like you put it into your DNA on how you're going to transition that or how you're going to implement that and everything. So anyway, I hopefully I'm, you know, reinforcing the point there.
Well, Carter, we're coming up on another break, but why don't you ask her a really good question about like what she does or something like that, because I really want to get in, like, I want to get more nuggets of from her, from Kim, from her perspective before we have to switch over to the health stuff.
Yeah, well, I will. I'm gonna ask this question specifically, Kim. You said you work with a lot of American advisors and everything. And I know that they can go to your Instagram page and find out some stuff, and your website. We'll make sure that all that contact information is in there and everything. But how do you know? How is it that what you do is a little bit different compared to maybe other coaches? Like, what is your main thing, and what attracts you to those advisors?
I'm fluid. I'm really fluid, and it actually comes down to my name. Everything, there's always a first interview, and that happens. It's kind of like Tim's experience, right? Come take a test. Let's figure this out. And I'm a strong believer that everything needs to be mutually beneficial, right? If I don't resonate with you, and you don't resonate with me, if I can't see that I cannot help you, I will refer you to someone else. I said no to a $25,000 6-month deal today. Right? Like, that's huge. Like, that's massive. But I know that my reputation is attached to that outcome that person was going to go through. And I knew that I wasn't the teacher. And there's a saying, right? When you're ready, the teacher will come. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, I'm not the teacher. I wasn't that person. So that's number one. That makes me different. Let's get to know each other and let's see if this will work. Right? Because I really get personal. I ask a lot of questions. We look at the layers. We look at what is the underlying reason behind this? What motivates you? What's the right language for you? What's your personality style? Like, you know, all these things. So my approach, again, it's so funny. And also my name comes from a golf too, by the way, at the green, you're approaching the green, and also flying a plane. So that's my other places. But anyways, there is just truly this approach that has to resonate with people and has to mean, and has to matter, because I don't want to waste my time and I don't want to waste their time. But I always start with the unique value proposition. And we talk a lot in the beginning of, what do you feel makes you unique? And that's where I start all the time, and we build from there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure that we've got all of your contact information and everything in there. And again, just because you're in Canada, well, actually, one other question.
Yeah.
Don't I remember you telling me that you have advisors that actually come out and you have like retreats or something? And
I do. It's part of, and it's part of the plan too. I've got retreats that happen. And being an ex-chef, my food does not suck at all whatsoever. And I pour a really good mean drink, and I know how to make a fire, and I live in God's country, as we were kind of looking and showing you before too, right? It's beautiful here, right? And that's a big part of it too, is just, there's something magical that happens when you get out in fresh air, when you take that drive to travel somewhere, when you eat some really good food, and you sit around a fire, you get to that next level and that next layer.
I love it.
Awesome, guys. Well, I think that's a good segue. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, Kim's going to be on the health seat. She'll be able to ask me any questions that she desires in the world of health. We'll be right back.
You want the absolute best for yourself, and you want it to be easy. That's why we created Green 85. It helps with detoxifying the body gently. We're proud it's chemical-free, unlike almost all other supplements you'll find. Bottom line, Green 85 will get you healthier. We look forward to hearing what Green 85 did for you.
To get this product and our other amazing products, go to chemicalfreebody.com. That's chemicalfreebody.com.
Welcome back, Enrichers. Tim James here with my co-host Carter Wilcoxon. Today in the house, we've got Kim Skermer.
We've got Tim talking about
We have Tim talking about Kim by the seashore.
Maybe you should just introduce yourself, Kim.
My
Hi,
name is Kimberly
I'm
Skermer.
amazing. I'm kicking
curly
butt. I'm
blonde
making these
hair.
advisors a lot of money and giving them a better quality of life and helping their clients retire in style. Okay. So, Kim, this is where we flip the script, and it's the Health and Wealth podcast. So let's talk about health finally. So what questions do you have for me about anything health related, or I don't even care, whatever, just any question, whatever you want. Let's go.
Whatever I want. So we touched on a little bit that I was an athlete.
Mhm.
So at the wonderful, beautiful age of 42, I got a double hip replacement. So first one happened. And it was very interesting. So I think there's
Is that from running?
No, not at all. I hated running because it hurt, and now I know why. It was just genetics, absolutely genetics. But it's a very interesting question that I kind of want to ask, and it's kind of twofold. So first thing is your advice and what you would say in regards to repetitive injury when people are training or doing anything that way and taking care of their body. And then the other part, because I was so young, it was very hard to get anybody in Canada. Everyone says the healthcare system in Canada is amazing. I don't know. I was almost ready to go jump on the plane and pay some money in the US to get my hips done. That's how bad it was, right? So, here I'm just finished going from the Nationals, was supposed to jump on a plane to go to the Worlds to Italy, and I couldn't go. I said no, I just couldn't.
What was this for? What sport?
I was a paddler, so dragon boating.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah,
canoe, right? So it's full body movement. So I blew and burnt my body out because of repetitive movement. I didn't take care of my core. I didn't, there's a whole bunch of pieces like that. But in that whole process of when you are ready and trying to get diagnosed or getting someone to help you out because you're so young, they put me in a whole bunch of anti-inflammatories, cortisol shots, all that kind of stuff. And that actually gave me Crohn's. So it was really interesting.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yay. So that was a very interesting thing to look at. So I'd love you to kind of touch even on that piece to help people understand, because this is I'm very passionate about, is about understanding the breaks and things you need to do with the body when you're doing a repetitive sport. And then the other part is being very mindful when you are injured, what some of these anti-inflammatories or all these things that you're popping, you're putting into your body to get through a phase or a piece, because I actually almost died from it. I ended up in the emergency, and that's how I found out I got Crohn's. And they said 2 more hours and, you would have been not here with us anymore.
Wow.
So
did you have, when you had Crohn's, were you like running to the bathroom 20, 30 times a day?
No, it was blockage. It was
so
absolutely.
You were constipated.
So and that's how I got, it was stressful, all that kind of stuff, high-end corporate job, ending up with a grocery bag of shame. We do that all the time too, right? And especially in this financial services industry, we don't feed our body the right way. We're going for drinks, we're celebrating, we're doing all that stuff, right? So it was, oh my God, I couldn't stand up, what the heck what it was. And ended up in an emergency, and it was like, you are so blocked, you almost blew up.
Scary stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So for repetitive motion injuries, athletes are training, and they're trying to improve their times, their scores, their strength, their stamina for the boxing match or the paddling or whatever. So all of that, the root issue of these repetitive motion injuries is inflammation. That's number one. So the question then is, if you're dealing with inflammation here, what can you do, or what things can you stack together to reduce inflammation? So let's just go through a few of these. Number one is, by far, water. We talk about it all the time. Carter, it always comes back to water, doesn't it? Water.
Yes.
Clean water. You got to get your water clean, and you have to purify that water, and you have to restructure the water, right? So once your water is clean and restructured, that's really good. Kim's back. She popped off and she popped back on. So I'll just reiterate. I'll reiterate that. So I don't know if you heard me, Kim, but it's inflammation. Okay. This is the root cause of these repetitive. You're going to get inflammation when you exercise and work out, especially when you have repetitive motion injuries. So water's number one. We want to start stacking everything we can to reduce inflammation. So as people are noticing, whether you have fibromyalgia or arthritis, or you have repetitive motion injuries, you're going to hear these pretty much the same stack that I've given before. So number one is getting pure, clean water. And if you're on city tap water, that water needs to be restructured so it can actually absorb properly, because high pressure pipes in the city make those water molecules too big and they don't go through the intestinal lining well. Your doctor probably didn't talk to you about that. Yep. So getting your water right, boom, number one. Number two, grounding or earthing. When you have, people forget that we are nature, okay? And there's still a lot of countries out there where people don't have shoes. They wear bare feet, and they have a huge advantage over us. The earth has a field of energy, and that's why when you hold up a compass, the little arrow moves. Well, what's moving it? That's energy. So as soon as your bare skin breaks from the earth, inflammation begins. You don't have the earth's natural charge to charge the cells and to reduce inflammation. That's just how it works. As soon as your bare feet come into contact with the earth, it starts reducing. It's just instant. It reduces inflammation again. So I've shown this a million times, but I have on my desk right here, this is a pad that is grounded. So every house, commercial and residential, has a iron rod driven down into it, and there's a lead coming, and that's the third prong to the electrical grid, the foundation. So that's the ground, okay? And there's these little mats and pads. I have one down below with my bare feet. I always work in bare feet. Let's see if I can show you guys. I got bare feet. And guess what I'm doing? I'm grounding, right? Because it comes in. And then I also have it in my bed. You can get pads to lay on, and you can all sleep on these things. Very passive. You purchase these things one time, and you just use them over and over and over. You've now changed your environment to reduce inflammation. That was number two. Okay. Number three. So we've got grounding. We'll go to number three. Okay. So number three, I would say you want to, we use a product called, we have a turmeric product called Turmeric 100. This is a major breakthrough in anti-inflammatories. Are you familiar with turmeric root at all?
All the time. Every morning it goes in my smoothie, actually.
We teach people to put it into food. Yep. When they make juices, to juice the turmeric root. We have a product that we have. This has 50 pounds of turmeric root in this little 2-ounce bottle.
Wow. Highly
concentrated and micronized, so it's so small, it's absorbable through the mouth. It doesn't go through the digestive tract. So one thing I would caution you, you brought that up. You said you make smoothies every morning. Mm-hmm. You probably love them.
Actually, I don't.
Oh, you don't? So you just put a bunch of stuff in there that's good for you and move on.
I do, to help myself a little bit with my diet with Crohn's. So you have to be and again, okay, Crohn's, it's hard to find a right diet, blah, blah, blah.
Right. So, off air, we can talk more about this. But we can talk about some of it now. It's fine. So one thing you have to understand, though, is when you use high-speed blender, Kim, you are going to, in 90 seconds, you're going to kill 85 to 92% of the nutrition that's in there.
So I do something. I do know that. So I have, so my juicer, I have a juicer. So I have one of the Angel, so the press one, right?
Oh, Super Angel.
So the Super Angel, that's my juicer. I loved it so much. I had one in the apartment.
Stainless steel model.
It is. It's nice. It's nice. And I had one at the apartment, and I had one here at the cottage. So when I do make my smoothie, what I do is because I know what it does, right? The really actually does. I'll kind of, my yogurt and all that vitamins and things like that, I'll kind of put it together, and then I'll stir in my greens, my juice.
Smart. Okay. That's what we teach, especially with our green product here, this green 85, that's how Carter lost 700 pounds.
712.
My God.
And got so good looking. We teach people not to blend that, because you're killing actually the electric, like the electrons literally that are still trapped in it, because we sun dried it, air dried it under 110 degrees. So anti-inflammatory stuff like that would be turmeric. Number 4, I would say there's CBDs, but you have to have really good, high quality CBD oils. These will help a lot with inflammation. Number 5, then I would say diet, right? What you're eating. You want to eat things that are anti-inflammatory. That would make sense. So staying away from things that are acid based, right? So dairy products, eating less meat, and what meat you do eat, making sure that it's super high quality. Grass fed, organic, no hormones, no whatever they put in them. They inject them with all kinds of stuff, antibiotics and crazy stuff. And then proper food combining. So have you learned about proper food combining?
That's my next adventure, actually, is learning that way. How do you
I have on my podcast, the Health Hero Show. I think it's episode 7 or 9. It's in the very beginning. Just look it up. It's called the Health Hero Show. And there's an episode there on proper food combining. There's a whole bunch of them. Everything in that and pretty much in my podcast will pretty much help you. But that was where I would start there. So we want to look at not just what you eat, but in the combinations that you eat it. Because if you eat a lot of people think, well, I eat healthy. I eat salmon and rice. That's healthy, right? Well, if the rice is 100% wild rice, yes, not white or brown, we get people off of that. And we put them on quinoa and wild rice. And the salmon could be really healthy too. But when you mix a protein like salmon with a starchy carb, even the wild rice, that's improper food combining. It's going to create over 123 chemicals in the digestive tract and slowly erode those intestinal villi and basically cause gut rot. That's what's happening. So if you're going to have the salmon, have a small amount and have it with a whole bunch of vegetables. If you're going to have the rice, have it with vegetables, but never mix those two together. And if you're a plant-based or vegan, if you have a nut butter sandwich, the nut butter has protein in it. The sandwich is a starchy carb. That's still the same thing. 123 chemicals, gut rot, gas, bloating, impaction. These things are going to happen, right? The other thing in that diet thing that I would say is cooked foods have not been our friend. I had leaky gut syndrome. My gut was completely jacked up 11 years ago. I was bleeding rectally when I pooped, and it wasn't the best life. I mean, it was a very painful process to go to the bathroom. So I've been able to heal all that up. And, a lot of it's, staying away from these fried foods, right? Fried
Can't
food.
touch it. Can't touch it anymore at all.
Yeah, any of that stuff. Yeah. And then, you can also get allergy testing. So those are some of the things in the diet. Now, another thing that we do that's not so much inflammation based, but it does help, is flax water. Have you added flax water to your lifestyle yet?
No, I have not.
This is one of the cheapest, amazing gastrointestinal healing things that I could share with you. It's part of our coaching program, actually. So if you come in and we would have you taking flaxseed water. So what you do is you take a gallon glass jar and you put about 1 part flax seeds and then you put 5 parts water, 4 to 5 parts water. Yeah, but not one like that. You'd want it to be with a big open mouth on it.
Yeah.
Stir it up, put it in the refrigerator, and then go to bed. Wake up in the morning, stir it again, and let the seeds settle, and it'll create this mucilaginous gel as the seeds they create this gel. And then you pour it through a strainer into like a 2-quart mason jar and strain the seeds out. You definitely don't want the seeds to come in because the seeds can get stuck and cause an infection, like with colitis and Crohn's and diverticulitis, all these gut issues. Just stay away from the seeds. Yeah. You got to be careful too. Like if you had a hamburger with sesame seeds in the bun, that could be a big problem for you. Right? So strain the seeds. Now you got this water, and then just take the seeds that are left, fill up the water back up, stir it, put it back in the fridge, and then repeat that process morning and night. That one batch of seeds will last you 3 to 5 days, depending on the quality of the seeds and the temperature of the refrigerator. You'll get loads and loads of this flax water, this mucilaginous gel water that will help to heal your gastrointestinal tract. It's also a great foundational. People are always looking for good quality fatty acids to help build the cell membrane and on the cellular level, and for joints and stuff. Tremendous, absolutely tremendous. So you can drink it. You can add lemon or lime to it and drink it. Some people, what they'll do is we'll have them take a glass jar and mix up normal water, just regular clean water with the green 85, shake it up, and then add the flax water to it later. and then shake it up and drink it, because the flax water is very thick and heavy.
Mhm.
It's got the fat in it, kind of. That's why it's kind of a gel water,
Yeah.
and the greens doesn't mix that well with it. So we mixed it with water first, and then add the gel water and mix it that way, and then it works really well. But you want to consume about 10 to 12 ounces of this water 2 to 3 times a day.
Mm.
Tremendous. And it's going to cost you pennies. This is some of the best medicine on the planet. This is where it's like food is medicine versus food is toxic poison. That would be like having a ho-ho or a ding-dong, right? Or having orange juice, right? People think that's healthy because they have it on all the movies and stuff. Oh, I'm having my orange juice and my bacon and eggs and stuff. No, it's acid. That's all.
Now Tim glitched out.
I thought it was me again.
No, it's not you. Tim actually glitched out, which is interesting.
Yeah,
because he never glitches out.
he's having the tech problems
putting
today,
into your
man.
percentage of your food by weight is uncooked or unprocessed.
Oh, you glitched out, man.
Yeah. So what percentage of your food by weight is uncooked, raw, unprocessed food?
A lot of my food is raw. The only time I eat a cooked meal is usually dinner time.
Okay. So do you notice that raw foods give you trouble or cooked foods give you trouble?
It's depending on what type of food it is. But generally raw feels better, which is interesting because most people with Crohn's can't digest raw as well.
But that's actually true, but it's not true. So at the Hippocrates Health Institute, it's 100% raw living foods. And over 50% of the food by weight there is sprouted, meaning it's alive when you eat it. It's not just the food in your life, it's the life in your food. That's their motto. So the reason why people have trouble digesting raw and living foods in the beginning is because you've been eating cooked foods your whole life. So cooked foods is like, there is no resistance. Okay. So your stomach and your digestive tract has atrophied because it hasn't had any resistance. There's nothing there. It's just this sloppy goop that's going through us, basically, because it's been cooked and denatured, right? And that's just the way it is. I mean, 50% of proteins, like in meat as an example, are coagulated, completely unusable, and the body. So just that alone, 50% of what you're eating meat-wise is wasted when it's cooked. That's just the way it is, right? This was out of the Max Planck Institute in Germany. So we know these things. So when you're looking at raw foods, what happens is that when you start putting raw foods into your diet, it's like, imagine you're doing bench press and you're lifting bench press your whole life with a broomstick. There's no resistance. You're not going to really build strong chest muscles. And all of a sudden I put 225 pounds on, you're like, whoa, shit. This is hard. This is really difficult. And then you do it a couple times, and if you can, and then you fall off the bench because you can't lift it, and then you hurt yourself. That's when people go all raw if they don't have a plan, which I'll give you in just a second. Because the digestive tract has atrophied. Okay. So when that happens, what we teach people that are at home, that don't go to an institute, is just to bump it up 10% more raw and hopefully sprouted living foods than they're currently eating. And then here's the key. You chew your food really, 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 really well. This is number one, muy importante. Okay. You got to chew that food really, really well. Number two is you take digestive enzymes with your meal. Very important, because the digestive enzymes are going to be like the spotter. They're assisting you as you put more weight on the bench press, as an example. They're going to help you when you're struggling a little bit to get that food processed. And especially if you're having, heavy duty, like cooked meals that are super heavy, like around Thanksgiving or something like that, just throw a couple enzymes in. So this is the reason why people are having a hard time they go raw and they're like, it's not working. I'm getting gas and bloating. Raw is terrible. No, your digestive tract is atrophied and you need to rebuild it. And that rebuilding takes it's a 2 to 3 year process to rebuild your gut. So when people,
dang it was so good. He was right.
It was going so well.
I know. It was gold. It was going to be golden.
Yeah.
Is what it was going to be. So.
Oh, even more suspense.
people have Crohn's, driving engine of your life is already compromised, right? Did you guys get all that?
No.
What I was saying is that people that have digestive tract issues, it's their their digestive tract, the driving engine of their life, is already compromised. That's why it actually takes longer sometimes for this to heal than somebody that has cancer. It's a 2 to 3 year period. But it's okay, because what this means is you just change your lifestyle. And as you change the lifestyle, you'll slowly start healing and feeling better. And then 2-3 years from now, if you follow the process, you can heal yourself, right? So chewing your food is muy importante and very important. Number 2, you want to take digestive enzymes with your meal when you're eating. And then we also do some other things. We have people do breath work before they eat to calm down, to get out of fight or flight mode and get into rest and digest mode. That's very important before you eat. And then the other thing is avoiding liquids with meals. When you drink liquids with meals, you're actually going to dilute the digestive enzymes you work very hard to do when you chew your food really well, and you're going to go right back to fermentation and gut rot. So stop drinking liquids an hour before you eat and wait 2 hours after you're done eating, and then start drinking liquids again. These little hacks that I gave you are going to give you a tremendous amount of help on your gut. And as far as the repetitive motion stuff, the inflammation, it's water, grounding, turmeric, CBDs, green products like we have, the Green 85, the diet, of course, and then we believe in saunas. And if you don't have an infrared sauna, you're really missing out. I've been a sauna dealer for 9 years, and there's a link you can go to. Just go to thehealthysauna.com. And we actually have a connection with like the best saunas in the world. And they're like, literally, they broke a natural law. Like, remember I brought up Max Planck Institute?
Yep.
They're the ones that discovered the proteins coagulating. Well, Max Planck was genius. He also discovered Planck's law, which is a natural law. This sauna company actually broke a natural law. They're able to deliver 98% pure infrared directly through these computer processors in their units. And it's the only sauna that I recommend now. And I've sold another company that's awesome for 9 years, but this little sauna, it's a third of the cost. It's 33 pounds. It's very small. You can take it with you. It's awesome. And it's 6 to 9 times better than these big box saunas as far as the healing capabilities, because it can actually raise your core temperature like 2 to 3 times more than these other saunas. It's profound. So when you can raise the vibrational frequency of your water molecules and your blood molecules, you'll be able to shrink them, actually get them out into really tiny capillaries that they haven't been before. It rejuvenates skin. It takes oxygen and nutrients to the same way internally to organs. And talk about inflammation reduction, ridiculous. So for me, I'll just give you an example and we'll wrap up. I trail run really, really hard once a week. And on my knees, I'm 48 years old. They were still inflamed, even though I eat alkaline, do all this stuff. When I started taking my turmeric product, I could do it twice a week. When I started doing the sauna with it, I can run every day now. I have no inflammation. So athletes, you get prepared to have a whole new quality of life, and you can actually, I don't want to say this, but you can actually train more and have way less inflammation. And, that's important for people. If you have an advantage for training, you can get better and better and better before your event. So anyway, hopefully that helps you. That's a whole bunch, but I know that you're going to probably implement a lot of that.
No, it's amazing. Thank you. I appreciate it. I really do. I appreciate it.
And if you want like a private one-on-one consultation, you can just go to our website and click on the Hire a Coach button at chemicalfreebody.com and fill out a health history form and book a free consult.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions about health or?
Oh, I could talk to you guys forever, actually. So I'll stop it there. But no, that was fantastic. Cool. I think you guys are kind of stuck with me. You really are. There's so much more I think we need to talk about. And anyways, I enjoy it. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming on, and we really appreciate you putting on those cool earrings too. Those triangle things. Those are really awesome.
Thank you.
Pretty nice. Where'd you get those?
What'd you say?
I said, where'd you get those, Kim?
Girlfriend made them.
No, yeah, I knew something was special.
Yeah, no, they are wood. Yep.
So they're super light, right?
Yeah, they're super light. And it's also too. It's the. You can tell when someone's been speaking for a long time or has spoken before too, right? It's the whole thing of, and when you're a woman, there's two things you have to watch out: is what earrings you wear and what kind of necklace you have on. Because it's so funny when you speak, like, it clinks and clunks, right? Because it picks up on the mic. So it's the light. These are my earrings that I have a drawer of earrings that I wear when I speak, so it doesn't clink.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on. Look forward to more conversations with you.
Me too, guys. Me too.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Tim, you know what I was just thinking, and we'll let the enrichers go here in just a second. What I was just thinking is, how cool would it be to have like a dual coaching, like of advisors, right? Like we could have you coming on, we can have Kim coming on, and you guys can talk about your coaching, and we can invite a whole bunch of advisors that we have to come on to, like, instead of us just three doing this podcast right now, we can actually talk about and invite a whole bunch of advisors to come in, which is sort of what we're doing with the podcast. But I was just thinking that would be great to actually have a coaching session with our health coach and our business refinement coach. I don't know if that's proper or not.
I think what you're talking about is we would have a summit.
Yeah, summit.
Like, and it's exactly my retreat. So it's kind of funny, Tim, as I'm writing things down and I'm thinking, like, I bring experts in because it all makes sense, and they all are so related, of processes, of health, of purpose, all these things. You have to look at them all as one whole piece.
Yeah, Carter, we can do that. Yeah. Just let me know and I'll be there. Yeah, same thing. It's like, if you have a summit and you want me to come on and speak or talk or do a segment, I'm down for that. No problem. And it's really cool because, I was a financial advisor, so I know their life. I know what's going on inside and out, the before, the after, the dinner class,
when I say the grocery bag of shame, man, when I totally say that, we all know it. We honestly all know it.
And unfortunately, a lot of the advisors are, they're overweight. They want to change, but they don't know how, and they're just busy, and a lot of stress is getting them. So we'll help them. We'll help them with the stress and show them, give them some strategies to mitigate that and get their health back and make it easy for them. How's that sound?
That sounds awesome. Hey, look, Enrichers, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast Show. Now, make sure, if you want to be able to go and check out all of our previous recordings, you can go to our website at www.thehealthandwealthpodcastshow.com. You can also like, share, and subscribe at wherever you get your podcasts, at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google. And you can also check us out on our YouTube channel if you want to see what it would look like whenever we're doing these podcasts. So for our guest today, Kim Skermer of the Approach Coaching Method, I want to thank you very much for coming on. And my esteemed co-host, Mr. Chemical Free Body himself, Tim James. I'm Carter Wilcoxon, CEO and founder of CSI Financial Group and the architect of the Advisor Partner Platform. Thank you all for coming and listening to us today. And until next time, live a great and abundant life, and may all the wealth and health come your way. Kim, thank you again for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Hey, Enrichers. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Carter Wilcoxon.
And I'm your host, Tim James. And by God, we are committed to helping you guys have fat wallets, flat bellies. So tune in again for another episode, and make sure to like, share, and drink a lot of water.
Or beer.
You have just listened to the Health and Wealth Podcast with Carter and Tim.